Now, traders at Access Bank say investors have their attention fixed on today's 161.86 billion naira T-bills auction. Meanwhile, Nigeria raised about $900 million in its first ever domestic dollar bond sale. Tobechukwu Ikpe, Treasury Team Member at Access Bank, joins me now for more market movements. Tobe, thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. Now, last week's T-bills auction saw an oversubscription rate of about 384%. Do you think we'll see same levels repeat with today's T-bills auction? What's your anticipation?
Okay, thank you for having me, David. So, yes, as you mentioned, last week there was healthy subscription for the last auction, and we expect to see an oversubscription at this auction as well, but not to the extent that we saw the last one. This is due to the liquidity situation in the money market right now, with the markets opening today 500 billion in the negative. So banks are currently down, currently borrowing funds from the CBN to fund their obligations. So while we expect an oversubscription due to the small amount on offer, we don't expect that to be as large as the last one.
And in terms of allotment levels as well, now we saw what the CBN did last week as well, just allotting only the offered 233.3 billion naira, just maintaining the target issuance. Do you see them also maintaining this sort of stance?
Yes, exactly. We expect that they will maintain the same energy this time around, just allotting exactly what's on offer. They have shown that the appetite for borrowing on the short end is not as strong. I think they've met most of their borrowing needs for the year already, so I think they'll just refinance the maturity for tomorrow.
Yes, and talking about how things have panned out so far this week. Now, let's talk about yields across the curve, the T-bills and bond side. What has been happening? What's the latest? Where are investors focused in the last few days?
So for the last few days, we've seen bearish sentiment in the fixed income markets, largely due to the negative liquidity situation, as I mentioned. There was some CRL debits for the bank industry late last week and on Monday this week, so that partly drove the market into a negative position. So the fixed income market has been bearish as market participants look to offload some of their securities. We've seen the bond market largely bearish, with the longest tenor on the run bond, the 33s, coming from 19.6 levels where it was trading at the beginning of last week, trading around 20.1 levels today. And for the same thing for the NTBs too, the last NTB that was issued traded around 17.8% last week, and as at this morning it's been offered above 18%. So due to these factors, the appetite for the holding in these instruments right now is not strong. We've seen largely selling sentiments in the market.
Well, now let's shift our focus to the outcome of the $500 million domestic bond offer, which we saw about $900 million raised now. Definitely, this is following on the back of the country also looking to diversify its funding sources and also avoid elevated yields in the international capital market. But in terms of how this is a welcome development when we're looking at the hard currency and how much of a crippling shortage we've seen so far, schools have resumed, the demand pressure is here. How do you see this inducing some ease into the market?
Well, I think the major highlight of that bond issuance is the depth of our domestic markets. Ordinarily, 500 million was the planned issuance, but we saw an oversubscription of 180% and 900 million being the total subscription. We expect that the DMO will sell this entire amount. So this shows the strength of our domestic capital markets and the belief they have in the government to put these funds to good use. So we expect that the funds be used to bridge any deficit financing, especially on the FX side, the hard currency side, and also to probably help stabilize the Naira in the short term.
Stabilizing the Naira, that's also a big conversation we've had so far at this point in time. The Naira still trades above 1,600 as well now. Let's talk about how the Naira pendulum swing might move and in what direction as we're counting down to the MPC meeting later on the 24th.
So for the FX markets, we've seen rates depreciate from 1,600 levels at the beginning of the month to about 1,650 currently in the FX market. Recently, it has been quiet as we've seen CBN interventions recently. at the end of last week and at the beginning of this week as well. They intervened around 1580 levels, so that led to some appreciation at the beginning of the week. However, yesterday, market participants were expecting more interventions, but there was none. So we saw rates depreciate again yesterday. So for now, for the FX markets, we expect that it continue to trade around this 1650/1660 levels, and we expect that the CBN will continue to monitor that and intervene when necessary to stabilize that market if it starts to overheat again.